Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful day to be alive. My name is Rita Nnubia, and today I'll be taking us on a training that would just shift our mind to things that are just the intricate things, some basic things that we need to pay attention to that we've not really been paying attention to. All right, so before I say any more, I will quickly share my slides. So thank you all for coming in and joining me on this meeting this afternoon. Okay, let's see. Please help admit people into the room. People are waiting. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you can see my screen, let me have a yes in the chat box. If you can see my screen, let me have a yes in the chat box. Awesome. Okay, people. So the topic for today is habits to cultivate to succeed in your business. Yeah. Now, if you look at so far so good, we've had so many trainings on the products to increase our knowledge base about the products. We've had trainings on how to be professional network marketers. We've had trainings on that, and we've had these things broken down on how to prospect, on how to invite people to meetings, on how to follow up, on how to close. And so many people in the team and globally as well, we've been putting these things into practice. And we find out that, oh, okay, I've been doing this and I've done this over a period of time and I'm not really seeing the results. I am not seeing the results. So why is this happening? Why is this happening? So I'll be addressing some things that will help us understand why you are not yet getting the expected results you desire, despite the fact that you are applying the principles. So let's move forward. Now, I don't know how many of us this year, at the beginning of the year, how many of us, or let's say December, how many of us had New Year resolutions at the first day of the year? Okay, that I will do this year, I will do that this year. How many of us set down goals for the year 2020? Can I have your comments in the chat box? Okay. All right. Okay. So Mr. Cyril says aye. Okay. Now, another question. So if you take an asset, as in if you look back, we are already in September. If you ask yourself, and then just ask yourself, the goal you set or the New Year resolution you set, have you achieved it? As in, is it a done deal now? Yes or no? Okay, Fumi Asaolu said she's on it. Mr. Cyril says no. Okay. All right. So thank you for following so far. Okay, not completely done. All right. So if we look at setting goals, if we look at our habits and behaviors over time, we'll see that we set goals, we make resolutions, and we are excited about these things when we set them. Even within the business as a whole, we set goals for ourselves, and we are so excited. We are so excited about it, and we want to meet these goals. But something happens along the way. Something happens along the way. We understand the principles we have to carry out. So we understand the attitude, what we have to do, and our behavior. But yet we do not achieve what we want to achieve. So I will be going into why we are not achieving our goals, why we are not meeting up with the things that we want to meet up with. Some months back or thereabouts, CM talked about, he did a training on money paradigms. So just imagine in life as a whole, when you're talking about business, you already have an underlying factor in you. And that underlying factor, it's like a programming that you have been set in. So I would call that your or an underlying business paradigm. Yeah. So basically, you already have a way you do your things, and because of this way that you do things, you do not meet up with certain goals or certain resolutions you've made for yourself. So let's go into what paradigms are. Please help admit people into the room. So paradigms are, well, it's a general sense. It's a way we see the world, not in the sense of visual seeing, but in terms of the way you perceive the world, the way you understand things, the way you interpret things. For me, I'm someone that is very particular about personal self-development, because I know that by the time I develop myself, I'll be able to impact my world better. I'll be able to, anything I intend to do, I'll be able to do those things at a higher level and at a better level. So just imagine if you understand something in a certain way, and someone you are interacting with or someone you are doing business with understands that same thing in a different way. You would have challenges, there'll be a lot of friction because there is no congruence. You people would have trouble agreeing, as in you have trouble agreeing and seeing things in a similar way. There's a quote that says the map is not the territory. The map is just a map. So it just gives some certain aspects of what the territory should look like, but it is not really the territory. So everyone has been advised to think outside the box. Think outside the box. Please help admit people into the room. Think outside the box. So let's go to the next slide. So, I said something about your behavior. So it's possible to work on your behavior. In your business, you've worked on your behavior. In time past, people have told you, you're a quiet person, you're this, you're that. So you've worked on your behavior and you've tried harder. You are now more diligent. You've now increased your pace. But your efforts are not producing results. Instead, you move fast, but you are moving in the wrong direction. You move fast, but you are moving in the wrong direction. Please excuse the noise. Excuse the noise. I hope you can still hear me.
Yes.
If you can still hear me, type yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So for behavior, you are diligent. You are working fast. Imagine working so hard, you put a ladder against a wall and you have worked so hard, it has taken you like 2 years to climb up that ladder, and by the time you get to the topmost point, you find out you arrived at the wrong destination. Isn't that terrible? As in, it's frustrating. Or let's think about our attitude towards different issues. Let's say you are someone who, well, I'm an optimist. I always think I always try to see the best in every situation. So let's assume you are like me, who always thinks in a positive way. And because of this, okay, you still don't get to the right place. And okay, because you're an optimist, well, since it go better, you tell yourself it go better tomorrow. Your attitude is still positive and you are still a happy person, but you still did not achieve your goal. You still did not meet the target that you have set for your business. So what is the fundamental problem you have? What's the fundamental problem that is existing? The fundamental problem really is the foundation that the foundation on which you have built on. The foundation on which you have built on. So if we can address these foundational issues, the subconscious issues that you have, if you can decide for yourself to address the subconscious issues and subconscious things, underlying things down there, by the time you act out, by the time you work on your behavior, by the time you work on your attitude, by the time you set up a goal for your business, everything would move smoothly. And you will see yourself achieving the goals and achieving the expected results. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, here is an example. So, okay, I give an example of placing a ladder against the wrong wall. So another example is assuming you want to go to Sokoto, yeah? And you requested for a map. You don't know the way there. You asked Google for a map, and Google was now directing you to Benue State. But you did not find out until you got to Benue State that you were given the wrong map. You can imagine how frustrating that can be. So many people are working in this same, what would I call it now? So many people are working with this same plan and with this same programming. And because they have not addressed the fundamental issues, irrespective of the fact that they are okay, the principles they have learned from all the trainings, that, they are still not getting the expected results because there are still some underlying factors. Now let's take a look at this picture. Let's take a look. Can we see the picture? Hello there. Can we see the picture? Oh, yes. Okay, great. So what exactly do you see? If you are someone who has actually gone through this particular training before, especially where this picture was used, please don't comment. Let those who have no experience at all share their views, please. Thank you. So if you can see the picture, what can you see? Tell us what you can see in the picture. What can you see in the picture? Waiting. Okay, you can see a woman. Can you describe the woman? Okay. Okay, you can see a young woman. Okay. So Fumi says you can see a young woman. Miss Nonie says you can see a young woman. Okay. So who else is contributing? A woman looking and listening from Bosse. All right. So who else? I think I've had like 5 feedbacks. Okay, I think that's okay. Or does anyone want to say anything else? What can you see? All right, this is a study that was actually done some years back. This picture is actually the picture of a woman that is about 70 or 80 years old, has a bulky nose, She's wearing a shawl over her hair. She has small eyes. She has a long chin. So can we look again? Can we look again and tell us what we see? It's more people are coming into the room. Can we look again and tell us what we see? Have we seen the old woman? Hello? Oh, you're not still seeing the old woman. Okay, so who can now see the old woman in the picture? Who has seen the old woman in the picture? Okay. Ah, so no one has still seen. How many are we in this meeting anyway? I think we are up to 18. No one has seen old man picture. Okay, Tutu says she sees a woman. What age group? Okay, so this one, let's move ahead because of time. Let's move ahead because of time. We should be done in, say, 20 minutes time. All right, so there was something that I wanted to begin, and I didn't say that. Your expectations from this training. And what do you get at the end of the training? Training, you would have identified that there are some basic things that that are within you, that your subconscious, that you need to address. And once you address those things, you'll be able to fly in your business. So this picture actually shows both a young woman and an old woman. So this picture is, how should I say it? It shows that people have different perceptions. Someone can look at this picture and say, ah, it's a young woman, and the person keeps arguing. While another person will look at the picture and say, ah, this is an old woman. Now, can't you see her big nose and her small eyes and the shawl that she's wearing? So perception, people perceive things in different ways. So you now have to open up your mind and try to understand where that person is coming from. Because basically, you're not right. If you can see a young woman, you are right. If you are the same woman in the picture, you are also correct. Yeah? The only difference is that your perception differs. So for those who are yet Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, if you can hear me. Okay, thank you so much for me. Thank you, Cyril, for holding forth. All right, sorry, there was a little glitch there with network. Okay, so I was sharing, let me get my slide back on. I was sharing what Aristotle said about, okay. So he said, we are what we repeatedly do. And excellence is not an act, but a habit. So over time, you cannot become a professional overnight. It will take time. It will take imbibing certain habits. And in your network marketing business, even if you have started practicing some of the things that you have been taught, what are the underlying habits you already have? And how are your habits acting as a, what's the word to use now? Acting as a hindrance to your growth in your own business. So that's what we'll be going into now in a few minutes. Please help admit people into the room. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So if we take a study, a survey of all the leaders, all the wealth leaders, thought leaders, every leader you can think of out there, you would notice that there are certain habits each and every one of them have. And these are habits that they have cultivated over the years. They are habits they have cultivated over the years, and they are not shifting from these habits they have cultivated. They are not shifting. This afternoon, we'll be looking at one of the habits gotten from Stephen Covey's book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. To achieve good results, you must develop habits that are worthy of note, habits that will help you achieve your goals, habits that will help you meet your desired targets. So that's, I'll be taking us through one of the habits, and um, most likely in our coming trainings, as in the trainings that will be coming on next time, I would also follow through with the other habits as the case may be. Now let's go to, so the first habit that Stephen Covey talks about is being proactive. So when we say proactive, what does proactive, what does being proactive, what does it mean to you? What does being proactive mean to you? What does being proactive mean to you? Hello? Please, can we share in the chat box? When we hear the word being proactive, what does it mean to you? Okay. Cyril says being proactive means being a step ahead. Temitope says taking action. Ayofeju says taking action. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. So being proactive. Before we dive into what being proactive really means. Okay, sorry, please excuse me. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hello? Yes, all right. Thank you so much for the feedback. So before we dive into what being proactive is, let's look at the 7 habits. As in, let's just have a look through. So the first habit is being proactive. The second habit is beginning with the end in mind. The third habit is to put first things first. The fourth habit is to think win-win. When you think win-win, everybody comes out happy. The fifth is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. There are so many situations where you are talking to someone and the person is not listening. The person just wants you to understand them first and vice versa. And basically, if you are not listening to understand and you are just replying, there may be some conflict and friction at the end of the day. Synergize. Habit 6 is to synergize. Synergize all your activities, synergize all actions so that you can meet specific goals. 7 is to sharpen the soul. So what we'll be focusing on today is being proactive. Being proactive. Now, what does it mean to be proactive? Being proactive means to take control of your life. Take responsibility of your life. Take responsibility of your business. Take control of your business. Your business is not dependent on your downline. Your business is not dependent on your upline. The only person that will make or mar you in this business is you. Always remember that everything is constant. The product is constant. The compensation plan is constant. The only varying factor is you. You are the only varying factor. And the only time you can move ahead move ahead in your business and achieve great success is when you take control, take responsibility, focus on the things you can do something about. In I don't know where you're listening in from, but wherever you're listening from, I'm presenting here from Lagos, Nigeria, and there is something that happens here in Nigeria a lot, where you see people complain about the government, complain about task, complain about the road, complain about water, power, this and that. You've spent how many hours of your life complaining about those things? Are there things you can influence? Are there things you can change? Are there things you can influence? Are there things you can change? So you need to take responsibility. Take responsibility. You also need to take responsibility of your moves. You may meet certain situations, and yes, those situations may be very tasking. They may be very irritating, in quotes. You may have to interact with prospects that, if you look at life, if you assess yourself and assess them, really, they are not up to your standard, but they are prospects. There are people who will do business with you. So do not allow whatever they say affect you in any way emotionally. If you feel you are going to get upset or angry, or you are going to bring out any negative emotion, just press pause. Press pause. Write press pause in the chat box. Press pause. Write press pause in the chat box. So I'm sure you're following. Awesome. I hope you say press pause. Yes, press pause. We all have pause buttons. We all have pause buttons, but we are the ones that have refused to use our buttons. So if you feel you are going to go into a state that limits you, a state that is not empowering, press pause. After you press pause, assess the situation. What is the best way to address this issue? What is the best way to communicate my thoughts so there is no offense? Make the most of the space between stimulus and response. Press pause. Press pause. Be in control of yourself. Be responsible for your moves. No one can be responsible for you. You are the one that will be responsible for your happiness. You are the one that will be responsible for yourself, even if you are sad. If you do not decide for yourself to be happy, if you do not decide for yourself to be successful in your business, if you do not decide for yourself to make that money that we have been talking about in this business, if you do not believe it, if you cannot see it in your mind's eye, you will never get there. That is the simple truth. Now, what is the opposite of proactive? What is the opposite of proactive? Can you share? What is the opposite of proactive? Okay. Cyril Esedo says reactive. That's good. Yes, the opposite of proactive is being reactive. As in, you are just in the blame game. You keep blaming everybody for everything, but you don't look within. You blame everybody, you blame your upline, you blame the product, you blame your family that they are not supporting you, you blame your downline that they are not doing their business. You blame everybody but yourself. That is what it means to be reactive in your network marketing business. Let's go on to the next slide. So let's look at being reactive versus being proactive in your business. So what can we see there? For under reactive language, so if you have people in your team or people that you interact with daily, and they are using languages like, there is nothing I can do, it's out of my hands, or that's just the way I am, I cannot change, or he makes me so mad, or they won't allow this, or or I have to do that, I can't, I must, if only. All these are reactive languages. I remember I was talking with a team member, and I know he's doing his projects. He has gone for further studies and he's doing his projects. And he was just gisting me that his supervisor has turned him to someone who she sends on errands. Instead of him doing his projects that he's meant to do, she's just tossing him, giving him her own work, as in the work she has to do. She has given it to him and not helping him and supporting him in the project that he's meant to be doing and she is meant to be supervising. And he was complaining bitterly. I just had to ask a simple question. Your complaints, I know, well, she may not be doing the right thing, but you're complaining now. Can it make any difference? He said no. Can you influence her decision to change? As in, is there anything you can do now that would change what she's doing? He said no. Then why have you decided to burden yourself with these thoughts? She has given you something to do. Do it. You still have your own to do, your own project to do. Do your project. Do your own project. Do whatever assignment she has given you to do. You can't influence her in any way. Unless you maybe know somebody else that has influence over her, then you can talk to that person. But aside that, you cannot. So there is no point expending emotional energy, being upset and angry over the fact that she's giving you assignments to do and this and that and that. Yeah? So after I gave him this other perspective, he said, oh, that's true. And he actually became happier because the whole thing of not focusing on his project, it was upsetting him. His project was being delayed. You know, now, the faster he defends his project, the quicker he can have more free time to do other things, do his business and all that. So by the time I talked about influence and all that, he saw sense in what I was saying, that really he doesn't have any influence over her, and him beating himself on the head over it or drinking paracetamol over the headache will not change anything. So it's better for him to focus on what he has control over, and what he has control over is his project. He has control over his project and doing what he needs to do at the right time. So that's just an example. Now let's look at, so if you look at your team, there are some people that are around you that use languages like the reactive language. So you need to educate them. Educate your team that this type of language is acting as a hindrance to them moving forward. It's acting as a hindrance to them moving forward and achieving their goals. The type of language we should be using in our business, in our network marketing business, are things like, okay, let's look at our alternatives. I remember during the lockdown when everywhere was shut down and products were not moving, things were shut, the whole country was on lockdown, products were not moving. The question I was asking myself is, okay, people need the products. So how can this product be made? These are health products. So they are actually essential. So really, they can't be on lockdown. And because I was asking myself these questions, thoughts were coming into my mind and it brought ideas, and I could reach out to this person, reach out to that person until I found someone who could do deliveries for me within Lagos and outside Lagos despite the lockdown. Yes? So really, there is a solution to every situation. But it is only when you open up your mind, you start thinking outside the box, you start using proactive languages, and you start asking yourself, what are the other alternatives? That is when results will start to show. That is when the solution would now come to the table. So using proactive languages like, I can choose a different approach. It's not set in stone. Okay, this person achieved positive results through this means. Okay, it may not be possible for me to do my things this way, but I should still be able to achieve this same result. So how can I achieve this result? Can I go through this way, or can I check this route? There are so many people in the network marketing team, in our business team, that have achieved success, and not all have achieved the same results through the same means. They all have different ways. Like if you look at Funshe's team or MI's team or Madam Chilaka's team, they all have different ways they do things in their team. So basically, you can decide, okay, let me do an understudy. I want to achieve this result. Let me do an understudy with this team and see what they are doing. Or Coach Yoma's team, how are they doing it? How can I apply this to my own team? What are the things I can apply and what will work? You already know the type of people you have in your team and what will work with them. You can learn something from this team, learn something from the other team, add them together and create a very good soup for yourself. Yeah, so you create something lasting for yourself. I can create an effective presentation. I can choose an appropriate response. This response part is now where you are pressing pause. I can choose, I will, I prefer. So it's very important we use proactive language when interacting with our team members, when interacting with prospects. And we teach our team members to also do likewise so that we can achieve the desired goals and results. Now, being proactive, if you've been listening to me so far, you would have noticed that I talked about influence. So being proactive basically means to focus on the things you can influence. Imagine a circle. Imagine drawing a circle on paper, and that circle is actually your circle of concern. And within that circle, you draw another circle. I will show you a pictorial representation of that. But basically, being proactive means focusing on the things you can influence. If it is something you cannot influence, then you are expending energy, wasting time on it. You cannot do anything about it. At the moment, you cannot do anything about the fact that, okay, the roads are bad. The most you can do is complain to the local government in your area, and or write a letter, and they will tell you they will do something about it. That is the most you can do. Unless maybe you now want to start doing donations and meeting people, telling them about the complaint and bringing out a proposal of, okay, this is the project to fix the roads and this is how much it will cost, that would please like you to contribute so and so to fix this road. If you want to do that as charity out of your own free will, that's good. But basically, if it's something you have no basic, as in influence over, then don't expend energy over it. Don't stress yourself. Focus on the things you can influence. By the time you do this, you create positive energy, and this positive energy will increase your circle of influence. It will expand your circle of influence. If you are focusing on things you can't influence, you make yourself sad. Your emotional state will be disempowered, and it's just negative energy everywhere. Because the more you focus on those things you can't influence, they will keep increasing. They will keep increasing. What you focus on increases. That is the truth. What you focus on increases. And those things will keep coming more and more. They will keep coming to you. But by the time you focus on things you can influence, those things, solutions will keep coming to you. People that will even give you the solution, they will come to you. They'll be attracted to you in one way or another. So it's important we focus on things that we can influence positively. Now let me show the picture I mentioned. Yes, so this picture actually depicts our circle of concern, as in the things we generally care about, the things we are concerned about. And if you look at this circle closely, you would see the middle circle, the inner circle shows your circle of control. That circle of control is basically about you. It's about you, it's about your habits, it's about your behavior, it's about your attitude. It's about you working on yourself to become a better you. Look inwards first before you look outwards. Look inwards first before you look outwards. Yes? So that circle of control, that's what it is about. Now, the circle of influence. The circle of influence is about the people around you. Do you have influence on them? In what ways can you influence them? So your team members, do you have influence on them? Are you someone they respect? Are you someone they look up to? Or even your co-team members or people in other teams, are you someone they respect? Are you someone they look up to? Or the prospects you have been interacting with, are you someone they respect? Are you someone they look up to? Are you someone that has influence on them? Those are the things you should focus on. If you have influence on them, then yes, you can help them to achieve their goals by providing the necessary support and telling them your expectations. And by the time you do this, they can see that you're working on yourself. They can see that what you're telling them to do, you are doing it as well. So it's not as if you're telling them to do something that you're not doing. It is talk and do. You are doing it and you're telling them to do it. So at the end of the day, if they are not getting the desired results in their business, if they're not getting the desired results or they're not meeting their targets, then they would know that you have done your part. The honors lies with them. It lies with them. So if despite the supposed excitement, okay, GMX N10 is out, so much excitement, or there's a new league, oh, there's okay, there's a lot of ginger and drive to meet this particular target, to meet this or that. Yes, there's a lot of drive, but your habits, after some time, if you do not work on your habits, if you do not work on this circle of control, if you do not work on it, you would find out that all that excitement will just dwindle. And you just say, I beg, I cannot meet up, Jaren. And you just relax. And you don't meet your goals. And you don't meet your targets. Yeah? Now, the outer circle shows you the circle of things you cannot control. That's the outer circle you can see there. Let me point at it with the mouse. Those are the things you cannot control. So what you should basically focus on, is your circle of control and your circle of influence. By the time you focus on this one, it will shrink the circle of concern that you have. Your circle of control and influence will expand to a point where your circle of concern would shrink, and it will keep shrinking until there's a point where it's almost non-existent. It's almost non-existent. I hope we are still together. Are we still together, please?
Yes, we are.
If we are together, type circle of concern. Type circle of concern. Oh, Cyril, I like your style. COC. All right. Circle of concern from Rita Nnubia, from Oladuni. Thank you so much. Thank you for following so far. Circle of concern. Yes. So I have these questions to ask you today. Where do you spend most of your mental energy? Where do you spend most of your mental energy? Write this down. Write this down on a paper. Write it now, please. Write it and take time to answer this question. Where do you spend most of your mental energy? In your business, in your network marketing business, where do you spend most of your mental energy? In family, in life? Basically, this is a business training, but this training can be applied to other things as well. But in your business, where do you spend most of your mental energy? The second question is, which of the circles is your greatest source of worry? Which of the circles is your greatest source of worry? Then how much of my conversation is spent talking about the things I cannot influence? Please write these 3 questions down. Then would anyone like to answer any of these questions now? how much of my conversation is spent talking about things I cannot influence? Would anyone like to answer this question now? Anyone there? Is anyone responding? I can't see the chats. Okay. So Fumi says she spends like 5%. Okay. So this training that we just had, it should be a training that is internalized. So it's very important to take these questions, to take them home, and you ask yourself and you write it down. By the time you write, empty your mind, write it down. Where you spend most of your mental energy, what is your greatest source of worry in this business? What do you talk about most of the time? As in, do you talk about things you can influence or the things you can't influence? Write it down. By the time you write it down, you will realize the mistakes you have been making and the things you need to change and the things you should continue with. So proactive people, like I've said before, focus on issues in the circle of influence and work towards expanding that circle. So I don't know, I know we have gotten the question, but if you are yet to write it down, I'll show us the screen again. We have actually come to the end of the training for today. If you have any questions, please quickly ask. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Oh, time is fast spent. So do we have any questions? Oh, well, you will have the link to the video. Thank you so much. You'll be getting the link to the video. So basically, you're getting the slide because the video has the slides. So it's being recorded. What do I mean by circle? All right. So the circle simply depicts things that you're concerned about in life. That's what your circle depicts. So since we are talking about your network marketing business here, so the circle depicts as in things you are concerned about in your network marketing business. And within that circle, you are in the inner circle, which is the circle of control. Let me have the slide up. Then you now have another middle circle there called the circle of influence, and you have the outer circle called the circle of concern. So what this training is talking about, this circle is just a depiction of things you care about in your business and things you are concerned about in your business. So basically, the training is telling you to focus on yourself, on improving yourself, on working on those things that are in you that are limiting you from achieving your goals, those things that are innate, that have been there, that despite the fact that you've been applying all your learnings and teachings, you are still not achieving the goals that you desire because this habit of being proactive is not there. Rather, you are being reactive in the way you do your business. You are not proactive, you don't take initiative, you are being reactive. So what this training is talking about is for you to basically focus on your circle of control. That's focus on self-development and also focus on things that you can influence in your business. Then the things that are outside your control, that is those things that are in the circle of concern, leave those things aside. Leave those things aside. Your focus should be on yourself and on your circle of influence. By the time you focus on this thing, it expands it expands, and you see that you start having positive results. You start seeing results from the things you do, so that it won't be as if you are working in vain. You start seeing results because you are focusing on the right things. You are carrying out the right attitude and the right habits. I hope the question is clear. I don't know, MI, would you like to contribute and respond to the question? Are you there, ma? Hello? Am I still with you? Okay. Hello, MI? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me stop screen sharing. Okay, thank you so much. So we have come to the end of today's training. By 6 p.m. today, we'll be having our prospects training. So it's important you come in with your friends, your guests, family, everybody you know. Come into the meeting. Let's pack the meeting with everyone, because everyone needs to hear about this opportunity. Thank you so much. God bless.